Welcome back to the Moisture Farm, everybody. Here are your results of the sector qualifier that just wrapped up in Richmond, Virginia. The first sector since we've had our major suspensions of Django, DJ, and Triple Dark Raid. And so there's a lot to uncover, a lot of discoveries to make. The meta completely opened up. And following that, in our first major competition, here are our top 8. Sabine, ECL, Classic, with some updates, obviously, making its way to the number 1 spot. Quinland Tarkentown is probably the most popular. We'll take a look at the deck breakdowns in a minute. But Quinlan is super popular. We've got 2 in the top 8 here. Han Green has been making a splash. Obviously, a really good deck. That's getting up there. Anakin Colossus, which is a deck that I've been tinkering with a little bit. I really like the potential. I think Anakin, in my opinion, is the best leader to pair up with Colossus. You have the most opportunities for early game card draw to get yourself back even in the playing field. And then there's just so many ways you can throttle your base health with Anakin anyways. It's just a good match. It makes good sense. Han Yellow, even without DJ, still making a top 8. Kira Data Vault, that's a deck list that we're definitely going to take a look at in a minute here. Blue green villainy in general, I'm pretty interested in right now. I've been more so testing Iden Data Vault than Kira. I think that Kira is a more powerful leader into mid-range and aggro. So we'll take a look at that list. Cad Bane Tarkentown, still popular. Still good. Really good. There's just really good card combos in that deck. A good McClunky with, Bosk on the field. There's so many damage plays that you can just throw out and completely swing momentum. And then another Quinlan. One thing I wanted to this is the most interesting thing for me, is this is our top 64, and comparing this side by side with our day 1. So the whole field of players, here's our percentage breakdowns, right? Most percent, 10% Sabine, Quinlan's up there, Cad, Han up there. I think this is probably going to be pretty consistent of people trying to get those showcases. I know I'm even considering it myself, just to try and get one of these showcases. That's probably going to be pretty consistent. Piet and Saxon getting a decent chunk in there. Kira, Boba, Palp. Set 4 Vader, really interesting stuff. We'll talk about that in a second. And, pretty marginal down here, and then a whole 20% of other leaders, which is interesting. Compare that to who actually made it to day 2. So the conversion rate for Quinlan was really good. 9% of the overall field, accounting for 17% of the top 64. Same with Kira up there. Han and Sabine side by side in that kind of third place spot. The conversion rate on set 4 Vaders is super interesting to me. I would like to find my way into seeing some of those deck lists to see what's working with Vader. But yeah, that's super surprising to me. Like a 3%, and it's converting to 6% of the top 24 is super interesting to me. Kylo making a little splash in there is pretty surprising. Hyper aggro has a spot in competitions, to me is super surprising. Only a few of those set 1 Vaders made their way into top 64. How about a Mace Windu making its way into a top 64? Shout out to the Mace. But yeah, Kira and Quinlan definitely had a strong showing in converting the overall field into the top 64. This is kind of something that we expect, right? and we'll expect that for a couple more months until these rotate out. You're always going to see Han and Sabine up there. But yeah, these three right here are the most intriguing to me. Quinlan was pretty expected too. But yeah, let's take a look at some of these deck lists. Starting with the first place, Sabine. A lot of this is pretty expected. How Sabine has been running for 4 sets now. Medal Ceremony has kind of been like a bubble card. Interesting to see 2 main deck there. New cards in Luke Skywalker, A-Wing, Sabine's Masterpiece, super important, and Chewbacca, all very deserving to be in there. Interesting that like pretty much every new card to this deck is green. So it's not coming from that like natural aggro red shell. It's the green support and green hero support, which is pretty cool to see. Moving Fighters for Freedom all the way into the side is interesting. That's that's been a staple card in Sabine for forever. I do think that Sundari Peacekeeper is more important. If I would imagine the decision became between these 2 cards, which one to main or side, and I think Sundari Peacekeeper is the better choice. Overall, pretty standard Sabine deck. So this is the second place Quinlan deck. Some pretty interesting stuff here. The 2 Disabling Fang Fighters main is a little peculiar to see, and the Guerrilla Soldier main deck 3 is not something I've been seeing a lot of for Quinlan. I'm not sure if that's a trend that I just haven't seen yet or what, but this is a surprising card to me. Sideboard's a little funky too. The 2 of these 5/3 tanks, I guess maybe into Sabine, you can play this down on the Sabine turn and kind of shut it down. Unless, if Sabine puts on like a Darksaber or something, she can take care of this. But I'm imagining that's what this is here for. 1 tech is a little funky. I do like Mace in this deck. And Greedo's probably to go underneath the other Quinlan decks, I would imagine, on that turn 1. But, our staples are still the same. 3 of each of these, including the Falcon. Han Solo is your, for sure, like, best top-end card. And our, full discard package, Force Throw, Spark, all that good stuff. So, main decking some upgrade removal and a little bit of indirect damage splash. I like that. That's new. I haven't seen that. Okay, so here is that third place Han Green. This looks pretty standard to what I've been seeing a lot of. The one thing I have been seeing, like Home 1 in the main deck, I've been seeing a lot of. The Stolen AT Hauler, I don't know. I might need someone to explain it to me. I don't see why you would play this in this deck. Like, maybe just for its aggressive stats. Maybe it's just that. Maybe it's just so aggressively statted that when you go against like those soft control decks, you can pilot something on this and really, really push across some damage. Could be it. Main deck 1 and no side for Emphy's Nest is interesting to me. A lot of Han decks splash in some like Lukes and Cads also for a Ewing pull. None of that in this. This is all like really straight up. So, pretty safe Han build. But obviously, good enough to be third place. So job well done. I did want to take a look at this Kira Data Vault deck. This is built pretty top-end heavy. Very top-end heavy, actually, which, having going to 33 helps for that. We've got our pretty standard early game stuff here. Ramp package, 6 cards. Surprise. Yeah, nothing more I would expect maybe like a side, like Price on Your Head or something to just kind of get a little bit more ramp in there. But sticking to 6, even with the extra 10 cards, we've got our removal package, Fell, Takedown, Glory, Rivals Fall, 3 SLBs, I think is a good idea. Three Vigilance, I guess with Data Vault, like that makes sense. 2 Traders in main. Yeah, the top end's super heavy. 3 Vader, 3 Maul, 3 Walkers, 3 SLBs, 2 Avenger, and 2 Devastator. I'm definitely gonna test a similar build to this before like PQ season really starts up, because I've been on the edge of playing Kira competitively 2 sets in a row now, and then at the last second just kind of pivot to something else. I've always liked Kira on paper, and I think now that the meta has adjusted a little bit, it's wide open, and obviously in Richmond, Kira players really stepped up, so definitely keeping my eye on this. Last thing I was going to take a look at here is the 4th place Anakin Skywalker Colossus. I'm not sure why the deck image quality is so poor. But yeah, this is what I mean. Like with Anakin, you got the R2 and 3PO. You've got this this new X-wing that lets you like damage it to draw a card. Yoda lets you draw cards. I've been seeing a lot of Stila Guerrera played in Anakin Colossus to help get those like removal tactic cards. None of that here, which is interesting to me. Feels like that's been pretty successful for a lot of people's builds. Sham in the main deck to counter opposing ramp probably works out pretty well for Anakin Colossus. Bravado can be really strong. Poe, Luke, and a main deck Resolute, pretty interesting. A lot of there's 3/3 shielded. I guess that makes sense in Anakin being able to like swing something, like attack something for 5 and pop that shield. Could be pretty good. That's a card that I haven't seen a whole lot of in Anakin Colossus. Same with Sham, at least in the main deck. Sideboard got some more removal, some upgrade removal. Conquer Dawn, I think, needs to be a main deck. I hear a lot of criticism about this card. I think in Anakin Colossus, I don't know, maybe where the meta is at, we don't need to main deck. Now that like Jango and Boba were kind of like the big space decks, and I think they're significantly worse now with Triple Dark Raid gone. So maybe that's why you justify taking out Conquer Dawn. I still think it's a pretty important card though. Some Crate Dragon sideboard for, blue deck matchups. But yeah, there's so many ways to get your card draw back even, like early in the game. So that's mitigated pretty quickly. And then the ability to throttle this damage with, Restore and Anakin's ability, trade up. And then, this deck obviously isn't utilizing it, but using Stila, you can, put some damage on your base to go fetch for cards. So now it seems like Colossus is the best fit, or I should say Anakin is the best fit for Colossus competitively right now. So to wrap things up, our meta is now wide open again, even though we are seeing some familiar faces here with Sabine and Han and Quinlan a little bit and Cad. Some familiar faces, but we have so much more game across the board right now. With these results and these participation numbers, meta is in a good spot at the moment, and this is going to be a really fun season. There's so many, and the cool thing about this top 8 is like it's very likely that one of these, I guess 7 different decks, are going to be what I end up playing most likely. So it's cool to see. These are pretty much all the decks that I've been looking into. Obviously, I did a Luke video. I like Luke 1 quite a bit. I've been messing around with Iden a little bit. But these decks right here are primarily what I've been looking into. So it's cool to see that, each one has got a chance to be on top, center stage. Feels really good to be playing a game and to enter a competition with that kind of confidence. So let me know what you guys think about these. What decks are you seeing from Richmond that you're interested in? What decks are you leaning towards if you're a competitive player? Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the next one.